All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me for another Spin That Shit podcast. Great guest today. Megg Farrell's with us. She's doing a lot of different things, mixing genres and kind of making her own sound. And it's working really well because I'm a fan. And we're going to talk about her new album, Christine's Daughter. It's new. If you haven't heard it, go ahead and check it out. It is streaming now. So definitely support her and what she's doing. We're going to talk to her in just a minute. I do want to say thanks to everyone that's been liking, sharing, subscribing. We're on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, of course. And I created another thing on Mixcloud where eventually I kind of start playing the radio disc jockey type. So I can actually start playing some of this music that we're always talking about without getting hit with copyright claims. So I want to support a lot of these artists that we have on the show. Also, there is a Patreon account that's new. There's a couple options there. One being as simple as just throwing us a couple bucks a month just to keep the show alive, keep it going. This takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, work, equipment, gear, all that. So, I mean, that really goes a long way, more than you know. Then there's some other more advanced tiers on there as well, you know, where it's more, you get the episodes early without ads. You can do the Q&A thing where you can ask questions and we can ask the artists that are on the show. Basically, you're going to get access to everything early for sure. And then the more advanced ones, you're going to get free stuff. You're going to get access to free shows, private shows in the area. If you're in the area or not, who knows what it could grow into. But here currently, there's a local show that might be going on here or in my own backyard where I'm building a new studio. And then very limited type of seating situation that would be available to Patreon. So along with art and merch by artists, who knows where I'm going to take it, but I want it to be unique. So hop on there and support us and we'll have a good time. I think that covers everything. Let's go talk to Megg and see what all this music's about. So what's up?
Nothing too much. I was working today and it went like an hour late, so I'm outdoors and a little bit less fancy than I normally would be, but
it doesn't matter. It's more about what you say, I guess, these things.
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for being on the show. I love what you're doing. I think you're breaking rules and, you know, cross blending a bunch of stuff and, you know, and it's unique. It's your own sound. So
thanks.
I just walked in the door. So if you could, we'd like to start these off with kind of a background story, where you got started, how'd you start playing music and all that good stuff.
Sure. Well, I guess I'm from like New York City. I was born there. I grew up in Jersey, right across the river. And I started playing music as kind of a songwriter in high school, doing I was really influenced by like folk music and stuff like that, like folk singers from the 70s and all that. Then I went to college and I was gigging like from 16 to, I don't know, through college with the folk stuff. And, but towards the end of college, I started studying jazz and I went to Paris for jazz school. And when I came back from Paris and in the city, I kind of just started gigging in the jazz world. And I sort of fell backwards into the early jazz community. My like first influences were like early blues, like Bessie Smith and Ma Rainey and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So when I found the early jazz community, I was like, it kind of made more sense to me than the more modern jazz from what I'd studied. So I just started gigging in that world. I was kind of working a real job, a desk job or something. You know, I was kind of aiming to have a career in something more stable. And then I just kind of was making more money gigging in jazz. And I was like, well, screw it. I mean, if I can do music full time, I'll just do that. So then like, I just all of a sudden was working full time in jazz and like 1920s jazz specifically. And 10 years later, I'm like, what am I doing? And so it was about 4 or 5 years ago that I knew if I was going to do music full time, I needed to make a transition. I was like, I got into music for writing and honestly for more folk and rock and roll and Americana reasons. And I love jazz, but it's not the only thing I want to do.
Right.
So that's when I started doing more, more original music, and then also just doing a lot of country music. I'd always been into Patsy Cline, but I kind of, not growing up in it, I didn't realize how much wider country music was than I had originally believed and understood.
Right.
And I got into Emmylou Harris. That was kind of my first, I don't know, fall backwards. I started gigging at Skinny Dennis and playing a lot of hot band stuff. And then I started realizing my country band, I was like, oh, my original music can go with this stuff. So I can actually start playing my original stuff again. And I started traveling to Nashville a lot more too. And then I kind of just, I don't know, one thing felt another. I started doing more of this original stuff, but it's, it's been kind of influenced by my years in jazz mixed with all the other stuff. And is that kind of a good enough summary? Does that bring us to modern times?
I mean, that really sums up how you come to this new album you got that just came out. And you hear all that blended in there really well. I'm sure you probably just feel more true to yourself than trying to do, imitate something from the 20s, I guess. But this way, I feel like you're doing it all.
That's what I felt. I always felt like when I was doing the jazz thing really full time, I felt a little phony. And I don't know, I have a thing with being phony. I'm like, I have to be authentic. And I think for a while, because I was full time in this world where people really into like replicating and becoming 1920s, and I really like that music. And there's a lot of people in that scene that I work with that are fabulous, and they don't just replicate, they reinvent within the style. But I always felt that I didn't fit into that mold, that I was like, I don't know this well enough. I'm not good enough at dressing to be able to pull it off. And like, I just it didn't feel natural to me to do it exactly the way it was. And I still do a lot of music, but I do it my way. And I'm kind of finding the original stuff has been a way for me to feel like it's me. I mean, this album is the first one I really felt like I'm really doing what me is naturally and fully. And so, it feels more authentic to me. It feels truer. It feels a little bit easier to get out.
Yeah. As far as for me, I don't know too much about the jazz world, especially modern day, but people like Betsy Smith and throwback stuff, I do know more of that, and I like it. One of my biggest favorite artists of all time is Jimmy Rogers. He was taking those country blues licks and just yodel simple, and then next thing you know, he's like piecing it together with like a big band or something, like a jazz. I was kind of blown away how he was able to do that thing.
Crossover from those worlds, those early worlds. That's people always say like, man, you do country and jazz, it's so weird. And I'm like, it's not at all. Like, especially the early stuff, there's so much, like, I mean, I do a lot of Western swing. I mean, that's just all mixed together.
The Western swing for sure. Bob Wills and all that. Bob Wills, he had a damn orchestra up there, it seemed like, every time he was playing. So where are you at right now? You in New York or?
I'm in Nashville right now. I'm actually in Shelby Bottom Park in Nashville.
Okay. I knew you had some shows coming up that way.
Yeah, I'm living in Nashville right now, but I'm flying to New York tomorrow. I still kind of gig a lot in New York and kind of building my gigs down here. And I'm kind of just starting to get more touring. I was kind of just doing New York and Nashville. Now I'm starting to branch back out again. Kind of paused a lot of that during COVID.
Yeah, I'm sure. So back to the record. It took me a minute because that's one of the things that at my work, what I do for a living, I can have radio on the whole time. So I've pretty much had your album on all day. I don't know how many times I've played it through because, you can't hear everything, every lyric, and, when you're busy. So I try to like put the pieces together and stuff. The record is named after your mom. Mm-hmm. Well, it's actually named after you, but you're Christine's daughter, right?
Yeah.
Okay. At first, when I was like, I wonder what she's talking about. And then later on, I was finding out through some of those songs, and I read something else and a little bio. I was like, okay, now it's making sense. And the lyrical content for me, that's big one as far as artists I like to listen to or what I'm drawn to. It's about the writing for sure. the, I mean, all the instruments and all that stuff, that comes secondary for me. I mean, it's a big part of it, don't get me wrong, but you had some deep stuff on some of this. Like, I feel like you've been through some shit to be able to write some shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, this record to me is, I think for so many years doing the jazz thing, I don't know, I definitely like lost it many times because I just felt so blocked, not being myself, not knowing who I was. And I think a lot of these songs, and through COVID, because I wasn't able to finish them for the first time, I just felt like I was actually able to say what I felt and what I've been through or emotions I've had. Like, it's so, I struggle so much to get things that are inside out, and songs is how I do it. I mean, picking other people's songs in jazz, I can feel things, I feel like, honestly, but getting them in my own words and out into paper or whatever is difficult. And I felt like this record felt true. That's why I called it that. I was like, it's just, this record's me. And I don't want to just call it Megg Farrell, but and my mom is a big reason of why I've overcome certain things I've been through, and her strength. So I was like, it's a, it's me and it's my mother's daughter. So that's kind of where it came from in that way.
What are some of your favorite tracks? I mean, I'm sure you like them all in their own way, but like, what are some, now that it's been out a little bit and you're getting some feedback from the public, which ones are you think really stand out that you like and think people like?
I think my favorites are Mama Said and Midnight Train, Whiskey Drinking Blues also.
Yeah.
Joe. I think those are my top four. But I think Mama Said, Midnight Train are my top two for sure.
Yeah, they're up there. Those were kind of your singles that were released first. Well, some of them.
Yeah, I think we did Big City, Whiskey, and Midnight. I mean, each one is
Mama
like, I
Said
feel like
wasn't one, was it?
No, we didn't do that as a single.
Yeah,
It's actually my favorite song, I think, that I've written, but like, I don't know, I just didn't put out, it's, it was too, I don't know, pretty or something, or like, ethereal or something for a single. But yeah, I think those are my favorites for sure.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't come to the conclusion of my favorite one yet. It's still too early to tell. I do like Mama Said for sure, because the funny thing is, I had a band called the Hill Figs on a couple weeks ago, and their song that I like the most is called Mama Said. It's like, what is going on right now?
So weird. We're all reconnecting to our roots with all that we've been through.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah.
So what else do you have planned for this summer? I know you're going to be doing the touring thing. You're going back overseas, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna be going. I'm going to Europe. I'm going to England and France for a little while. Mainly doing the jazz stuff there.
Okay.
That's kind of most of my touring for a long time has been with Sweet Megg, is like my other act that does jazz, because it's just got doing it longer and it's got a bigger following, and it's got a record label behind it and stuff. So most of those are pretty much all going to be that. But when I get back from there, I'm doing some Megg Farrell stuff in upstate New York and in Nashville, and I'm doing a thing in Maine. So yeah, I basically am like starting to play out again. My main guitar player on the record has been on tour with another act for like 2 months. So that's why I've also been like not playing. It was like we did our release show and then we all left town for a while. So once he gets back, we're gonna start playing more again. And I'm kind of like already thinking about the next record, because this one I wrote all these songs and put this record together like 2 years ago. And since then I've, because it was supposed to be recorded before COVID, and then COVID hit, and then it was in the middle of COVID. So since then, I feel like I've written so much, and writing this record has like inspired me so much. So I've written so much since then. And I really feel like the songs I've gotten together now, I like more. I feel like they're deeper, and I opened up some sort of block in me with this record of like actually getting to the point and actually finishing songs. And so now that I've learned how to do it, I'm like, oh, now I can actually make songs. So like, I'm like really excited to make another record now. That makes any sense.
No, I mean, it does. That might be the only thing you could say that came good out of COVID, really, is like the writing. People had more time to write some stuff, especially musicians, because you couldn't tour, which was terrible. But
Yeah.
the writing, I'm sure there's a lot of good music coming out just from that, everyone being locked up.
Yeah. And I feel like it taught you to be honest. I mean, it's like when you're alone, because I mean, I'm a busybody. I don't sit still. I'm always one thing to the next, and because I don't do well when I sit still, and so having to sit still for that long was like did a lot of reflection, and you kind of meet yourself, and you're like, oh God. And but I feel like, I don't know, it did teach me to be able to say things because I actually knew what I was feeling, and because I sat there with it for a while, and like. So I feel like, I don't know, like I think I've always hid pretty far behind a metaphor in past songs. And so I never really, like, I feel like if you don't like give yourself, the songs aren't very interesting because, they're like, what are you even talking about? There's just, so it's like, what is it, just a bunch of like metaphors mixed together, and I have no idea what the actual story is. And I feel like that was my writing prior to this record. And this is the first time I like actually experienced anything fully enough to write it out into songs, and therefore they're at least more compelling than anything else I've written. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I think hopefully when you get on the road and start doing this version of your act in the States, should come up through this way. I'm in central Indiana. There's a great little honky-tonk bar that you'd fit right into.
Oh, Duke's?
Yeah.
I want to play Duke's so bad. My friend just played there, Hannah.
Oh, yeah.
And my other, oh yeah, there you go. And my buddy Will Ellison, who plays bass with me in Nashville, he just gave me the contact for the booking agent. I was booked there actually before COVID. I had a whole tour and I was booked there, and then COVID hit, and I haven't been able to, I haven't booked it since, but I'm definitely planning it. I'm like, I want to come. Everyone says that's super fun and it's a great gig. So I'm going to try to do it in like October, I think, if I can. That's like my schedule opens back up.
Yeah, definitely. If that works out, I'll be there for sure.
Yeah.
It's our little home spot around here. The scenes, it's nothing like Nashville is or anything like that, but it's getting better, I think, as far as honky-tonk type country. But there's just not a lot of venues. There's a couple venues catching on to that and booking more acts that way.
Mm-hmm.
I started my own little show in town. It's got a mix of, it's a variety type show. I want to keep it that way, where it's just blends of different music. But there's Todd Day Waits on it. I'm sure you know Todd.
Oh yeah, I love Todd. He's a friend of mine.
Yeah, he's on the bill, but he's our honky tonk guy for the evening.
Cool.
But, yeah, that would be cool if you guys make it up.
Yeah, I would love to get up there. Go up to Chicago too, the whole Midwest.
Yeah, Chicago. There's a couple good spots for sure. Reggie's is popular there. I'm sure you probably know a bunch of different little spots to go to.
Yeah, I'm collecting information. I'll probably need to tell me everywhere eventually.
Yeah, no worries. Man, so what else can you tell me that I'm sure there's something about this record that I'm not asking that I don't fully know? What's something that you can kind of fill me in on? Is there anything that comes to mind, or is it pretty straightforward?
Well, I think the themes that are, I don't know, when I play this record live and I talk about like, oh, the song's about that, I realize that the record is pretty much just like two themes. It's like leaving and drinking. It's like those are the two things it's about.
Leaving and drinking.
Yeah, because I think which is why it's good I got into country, because they're the right themes for that. But yes. I think I was trying to move to Nashville for years, and I have always been torn in two as a person. That's just been my MO. I mean, I have two acts still. I can't seem to solidify into one human or one city. I'm like completely floating between New York and Nashville constantly. And I think I was with a man for like 6 years. We were engaged for a while, and that was a mess. And he was part of the jazz world and a jazz musician, lovely person, but like, just wasn't right. And I felt that I didn't realize until I got out that I was living a life I didn't want. I was like living this, like, I'm a New Yorker and a jazz musician and this is all I'm going to do. And when I finally had the courage to like end that and move, and he hated Nashville and he never was going to move there. And I wanted to move to Nashville so bad because I just didn't want to do jazz full time. And I wanted to write and do my original stuff. And I wanted to play country music. And so when I finally got out of that, I was able to move down here. And that's where a lot of the pain of that, the moving between him and New York and you know, another man in my life and in the band that caused a lot of, I don't know, it's kind of a fluid situation. And there's a lot of pain, and that's like half of the record is from that pain of not, well, you know, leaving your home behind, leaving a lot of comfort and what was supposed to be safe behind, but also realizing that home, like maybe from New York City, but it just never really felt right. And I'm much happier being in this slower pace of the South, and I'm much happier being surrounded by green. And, you know, like last week I was at a square dance and a crawfish boil in one day, and I just feel like I never thought my life would involve this, and this is exactly feels so correct. So I think that you know, letting go of, even though I am a city girl, it seemed for some reason I'm not supposed to be a city girl, and that's what half the record's out. And then the other half, is alcohol. I mean, I'm Irish, and that's what Mama Said is all about. I mean, my family, there's a lot of alcoholism in my family. We're pretty fresh off the boat. We're like one generation. My grandmother was from Ireland, and I think the story of Irish people is we're all like sustainable alcoholics. It's like, you know, Irish people have a good time and they can hold their liquor, like they don't get literally sick or something, but we're all like alcoholics really, with the amount, you know. And I think the jazz life did that to me for many years. I just kind of numb for so many years, and my mom really helped me get out of that. And so I think that's what the other half of the record is. Like Whiskey Drinking Blues, I always say at gigs, is a breakup song, but with whiskey. And so that's kind of those are the two things. That's why I say leaving and drinking, leaving, drinking. Like, oh, that's what it's.
I think
that's what it's all about.
Sounds like a T-shirt to me.
I know. Maybe I should.
Leaving and drinking.
Leaving and drinking. Oh man, that's actually a great idea. Maybe I should make that T-shirt.
I think you should. That stuff sells good. You know, those old statements on T-shirts sell good. Yeah, it's funny you bring all that up with the Irish. I met a guy this weekend. I went to Mike and the Moonpies show on Friday at the Hi-Fi, and he just moved here. He got married 3 years ago, right before COVID hit. He's from Ireland, and he just finally got here like 6 weeks ago. Finally was able to move with his wife that he's been in a relationship for this long. And yeah, the whole drinking bit, that's to the core for sure with Irishman, because man, he let loose and it was a fun night. But he did text me the next day and said he's nursing a pretty bad hangover.
Yeah, I feel like it's like always. I don't know. My mom always would say, like, you know, it's like Irish people, we're actually allergic to alcohol. People say we hold our liquor, but we don't. It's like that we can't actually, because we get addicted to it. She has this whole spiel that she would give, but I feel like it's true that like Irish people can drink all night, and we're a great time to be around unless we get belligerent, which definitely with whiskey. But like, you know, I think it's like the funny drunk, you know. And so it's fun to get. So, you know, like I remember I'd be at bars and I played every night, and they were like, I remember people loved to get me drunk. And like bartenders, it's like sometimes I try to nick things up, and they'd be like, oh, you're taking a night off? Oh. You know,
yeah,
I know. Like, this isn't, you're not helping. Like, you're not helping at all. I'm doing something healthy for myself. And you're like sad about it.
Yeah.
So I think that's why so many Irish people fall into the trap, because it's like, you know, we're like, well, I'm not a good time unless I'm, you know.
I'm with you. I'm 100% with you, because that's how all my friends perceive me, as like, I don't know, I was kind of the class clown growing up sort of deal. And you know, I was the craziest one out of all our friends that would hang out and doing something stupid or wild. And then when I started slowing it down, it was like, what is going on with him? It's like, well, I'm not in my damn 20s anymore, for one. So
yeah,
it will catch up quick. So I've learned to pace myself in moderation and not get blackout belligerent.
yeah.
So if I can't control myself, then I don't need to do it at all. So now it's moderation for sure.
Yeah. Well, that's what my motto was: everything in moderation, including moderation. So every once in a while, you gotta let go.
Yeah, you gotta cut loose. Man. Yeah, you. I did see you posting about the crawfish and the square dancing and all that. That looked fun. Crawfish is a passion of mine. Where was that
It is
at?
for me too. I did first time I ever had a crawfish was like not that long ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I was on tour in New Orleans and someone was like, "Oh, we got to go to the crawfish boil. It's an industry night thing." And I was like, "What? What does that even mean?" And then I went and I was like, "What? What is this? This is amazing. This happens here." And then like the past 2 summers here in Nashville, I've like been to a couple, and now I'm like, I feel like I searched them out. I'm like, "Where's one? I really want to eat more of that spicy, delicious meat."
Yeah, yeah. That my parents lived in well, just north of New Orleans for a few years due to work. So I would travel down there a lot. And then I met some friends and I went down there for every year for 10 years straight until COVID hit.
Mhm.
And that was the first thing I'd seek out is who was having crawfish or where, I'd try and go that time of year when it was good. And so they know how to have a good time down there. Good food
Yeah,
and
they
good
do.
music. Great music.
Great music, great food, great hang, great energy.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I just wish it was closer. You're
Yeah.
close. You're closer than
Not bad.
me.
Yeah, I'm only 8 hours away at this point. Just like I've been moving around so much, I haven't had time, and I'm like dying to go. It's just like I don't know. It's another to me. It's a city. Every time I've gone to New Orleans, I've had like the greatest time. It's just never a question. It's always amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about 12 hours for me.
Yeah,
Um,
that's just over the limits. Like over 10, it's like any drive over 10 is like that's a hard
yeah,
one.
double digits is where it gets tough.
Yeah.
So what are some places that you like to play at? Like, is there certain venues that I'm always looking for live music, so I like to ask people all the time where do you go to hang and watch music or shows or ones that you've
Uh,
played at that you think are great?
my favorite in New York is Skinny Dennis for sure. Um, I do. That's where like I still. It's like venues in New York are harder and harder to play. They've always been kind of hard, but like the more I'm not in New York, the harder I feel like. I'm sorry, New Yorkers, if you hear this, but like I mean I'm from New York, so I am a New Yorker. But like the audience in New York is just, it gets really rough. And so, but Skinny Dennis is like one of the only places left that like no matter what, it's like a good time. The bar pays you, people tip you. There's a sound system, and it's like fun. And the guy who books it is Zephaniah Hohoro, and he's a really awesome musician himself. And he just has like so many good bands. It's like whenever I'm in town, if I'm not playing Skinny Dennis, I'm like probably gonna go to Skinny Dennis because it's like it's always going to be good. And there's so many like country and Americana bands in New York, and there's just not that many places to play. So they're kind of inundated with talent. Like there's too many people to book, so that like you kind of there's
Yeah.
never a dull night there. So that's like that and Sunny's. I don't play at Sunny's, but Sunny's is like the best bar ever in New York. It's in Brooklyn and Red Hook, and they have like I haven't been there since COVID, so I'm not sure because it's very confusing what the schedule's like there. But prior to COVID, it was always the best music. Like they just had the woman who books that place just like has really good taste, and it's just like a cool old bar. So yeah, Sunny's and Skinny in Brooklyn, and then here in Nashville, I play at D's a lot, and I like to go to D's
Yeah.
Lounge, cocktail country lounge. Um, and then I also really like the Blue Room. I haven't played the Blue Room yet, but I just like love Third Man Records in general, and I just think they have really good taste, and that's a really awesome record label. And the Blue Room is just I've been to a couple shows there, and like just like great, interesting, weird acts. Like not I don't know. I just like I've not seen just like there's so much of the same stuff in Nashville, and it's all great. Like I love classic country music, so I'm fine with all of the classic country that's here. But it is cool that there's like a place that like books weird stuff too, and that
Yeah.
place is kind of
Switch
weird.
it
So I
up.
really like the Blue Room a lot.
I haven't been there. I definitely check it out though.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's a weird kind of cool event. They have like a forever, I don't know what the forever wall. I don't know what it's called, but like yeah, it's like in I don't even know what I'm bad at neighborhoods still, but yeah, it's like the Third Man Records venue, basically.
Okay. I'll have to
Yeah,
check it out next time I go down.
yeah, I would recommend it. It's also just like a cool experience, just like a cool room in general, like the way it's designed and the little lobby that the lobby that you walk into to go to the room. It's got these weird light bulbs that like make a lot of like it basically makes you feel like you're like in a sepia movie because it like takes away the color. I don't know. They'll show you like if they turn them on and off, the person in the front, like all the colors will change that you're like looking at in the room because of like the way that I don't know science, so I can't explain it. But this is a cool room. It's good music and it's really beautiful and it's literally a cool room. So yeah, those are my recommendations.
Okay. I've been in New York, but never New York City. So all those big cities I haven't. I've been more upstate or closer to the lakeside. But
I love upstate New York. That's my dad's family's from upstate New York, so that's like my second home. I'm like a Jersey girl and then a upstate New York girl.
Okay, that might be where you want to see some more greenery.
I think so. I think definitely my dad's side is, they've been in America longer and are more upstate New York kind of North Country folk. So I think there's a lot more of my dad side in me for sure. And we're Farrells, and I've never seen so many Farrell last names than since I got to the South. There's so many Farrells in like Tennessee, North Carolina. It's like Farrell Road and Farrell Painting Company, and then I don't know. So I feel like the Farrells must have been in the South at some point. I don't know.
I'm sure they have somewhere. Yeah, so if you're gonna start doing more of the country thing, it's good that you've included that as part of your title now.
Yeah.
For sure.
For sure.
Well, and that's one thing I wish we could do on this podcast is play music more, but they just hit me with copyrights. So, but I appreciate you being on. And where can people go find your stuff and follow you on social media? I'm sure. Do you have a website and all that too?
Yeah, everything. I got, facebook.com/Megg Farrell. Instagram is Megg Farrell. My website's meggfarrell.com. YouTube is, I think it's just /Megg Farrell or something. But I mean, if you search Megg Farrell with 2 G's, 2 R's, and 2 L's, FARR, you're gonna find it on all of those pages, except Twitter. I mean, I have a page, but I haven't used it in like 10 years. I don't know. I don't like writing words. I'm not very good at captions on Instagram. I definitely don't tweet, so I don't really use Twitter. I also don't really use, I have a TikTok. I might start using, I can't figure it out though. I'm like becoming too old for stuff. Like I don't understand TikTok yet. So
me either. I don't have a TikTok. People tell me you should do it for the show. I'm like, it's already bad enough with what I have to do.
Yeah, it's like I already hate social media, and I don't post enough. I know, but oops, sorry. But yeah, I feel like I'll get there. I don't know. I have to get good at Instagram and Facebook before I can get good at TikTok.
Yeah. Well, yeah. They just need that one button that sends them all. They're connecting already to a few, but you need one that just covers them all. One send button.
That's what I need for sure.
Yeah. All right, Meg. Well, thank you again, and we'll definitely be in touch. And if you come through, I'll come check a show out for sure. So
awesome. Yeah.
Well, good luck on the tour and the album. So.
All right. Thanks very much, Justin.
All right. Later.
All right. Bye.